What's up, y'all? Welcome back to B Name Later Reactions. This time we're going to react to a TierZoo video. Are horns OP? So let's see if, in the game of life, if horns are OP. I don't think so. Well, hold on. Let me get my pre-video predictions. I don't think horns are OP. They're pretty useful. Let's see. Elephants got them. Rhinos got them. Who else got horns? Elephants, rhinos. Those are the two main ones that everybody think about. Do hippos have them? I think hippos got little ones. No, hippos don't have none. I'm thinking of boars. Boars/pigs. They got horns. Well, not pigs. Well, boars and pigs are the same thing. But boars have tusks, which is horns. Elephants have tusks, which is horns. Rhinos have horns. Who else? Boars, elephants, rhinos. Horns. Okay, I'm looking at the video. Do buffalo count? I mean, I guess those are horns. Okay, if buffalo count, then cattle, like cows and ox count. Those are horns. Longhorn, yeah. So that will count. Rams, will rams count then? Rams and goats, I guess they would count. Okay, I was thinking of them as like antlers in my head, so I wasn't really, I guess those are horns. And elephants and boars are more tusks. But wouldn't you, I consider tusk horns, like come on man. But are they OP? They're pretty effective in a fight. But if you're straight relying on it, well, it depends. Like goat's horns aren't useful. Their goat's horns are like blunt damage, whereas a buffalo's horns or a ox's horns are more pointed, so it give you stab damage instead of just a blunt object. And stab damage is way more powerful than blunt damage. So if your horns are sharp and pointed, then they can be overpowered. But if they're just like a ram's horns, which is rounded off, and they still hurt, but it's not like critical, instant critical damage. So let's see what TierZoo got to say. Dang. That lion got messed up. Hold on, let me go back. Dang. He went flying.
Players have a wide selection of equipment to choose from when
Okay, gazelles. Okay, I forgot about them.
Claws, stingers, spikes. Each weapon has distinct advantages and disadvantages in combat. Some, like teeth, are better at dealing damage but offer less range and require the user take a significant risk committing to an attack attempt. Claws are a good middle ground, offering solid damage but allowing the user to keep their vitals at least a little bit further away from.
Why they got one big hand? Look at these. They got little shrimp hands, and then they got just one big giant hand. What if that big hand gets stuck on something? What you gonna do then? Why not just have two regular sized claws instead of one giant claw and then a little mini T-Rex claw? Why not just have two big ones?
Counterattack range. On the other end of the spectrum is what I'd like to discuss in today's video: horns and antlers. This video was sponsored by Audible.
Horns and antlers are really similar.
Like projectiles, skull-based weapons have by far the furthest reach in the game. This makes them excellent defensive weapons, as it gives players a large threat range that an approaching player needs to find a way to get through in order to connect with their own attack. Against a player with powerful horns or large antlers, messing up your approach and getting counterattacked can spell disaster, since these attacks can deal devastating damage when they connect.
However, yeah, see, that's more, his antlers are pointed, so they're sharp, as opposed to like a ram's, which is curved. So all the pointed antlers, pointed horns, those are definitely more dangerous.
Can spell disaster, since these attacks can deal devastating damage when they connect.
Yeah, you on the ground, it's over, just stab you.
Connecting with a strike isn't always easy for players who spec into this trait. Since skull projections can be quite heavy and cumbersome, Swinging them can be quite slow and risky in and of itself, because if the attack is dodged by an aggressive opponent,
How you miss and he's sitting on the ground? Oh, this baby, what is this, a buffalo? What is this? What animal is that? You're trash. The lion was sitting there on the ground and you missed?
into this trait.
You're
Since
trash.
Skull projections can be quite heavy and cumbersome.
He's laying down. You supposed to hit him.
Swinging them can be
He
quite
just dodged you and countered you.
slow and risky in and of itself, because if the attack
Trash.
is dodged by an aggressive opponent, you might be left wide open to getting rushed down and taking a ton of damage. So today I'd like to delve deeper into the advantages and disadvantages that come with equipping skull weapons to your character, and discuss some examples of good and bad usage of this perk. The two main types of skull weapons are horns and antlers. Horns are permanent and usually equipable to both sexes, whereas antlers are grown and shed each year, and usually a perk exclusive to male characters. Players in the Servid faction have exclusive access to antlers, while horns can be equipped to a wide variety of character types and have the major advantage of being permanent. Large antlers are useful for resource competition against other players, and occasionally to deter
Dang, he
predators,
locked him up.
but really their primary function is tied to the reproduction questline. Part of the Servid questline is that in order to complete the mating quest, male characters need to become
Oh yeah,
party
rush down.
leader.
Pull up on
And
him.
in order to achieve the rank of party leader, a Servid must duel against other male Servid characters and defeat them.
Oh, he got him running. Oh, he sent him running.
Duel against other
Hold on, didn't he?
and in
Which one of them pulled up? Cause I hope it's not the deer that pulled up that's running away. Let me see. Let me try to keep track.
order to complete the mating quest, male characters need to become party
okay.
leader. And in order to achieve the rank of party leader, a Servid must duel against other male Servid characters.
Nah, it's the one. It's the one who got pulled up on. He the one who running. Okay, bet. Good pull up then. Good walk up.
Antlers allow these players to duel in a way that tests their strength while still remaining mostly non-lethal, as these players don't actually want to team kill their own party members. As far as combat abilities go, antlers probably aren't the most optimal choice. They weigh the user down quite a bit, make it more difficult to move through dense forests, and the enormous
Bro, look at the monkeys just looking at him in the back.
down quite a bit, make it more difficult to move through dense forests.
Look at this monkey
and
right
the
there.
enormous amount of energy it takes to shed
Just looking at
and
him.
them on a regular basis makes them a handicap rather than a perk. They don't have many secondary uses either. They can be used to dig with, but there's no upside to using antlers to dig rather than your feet. In short, antlers are a flex, the kind players can really only get away with when they're already doing quite
dang.
well and have resources.
It just
to spare.
fell off?
And even players can really upside to using antlers to dig rather than your
It just fell
In
off?
short, antlers are a flex, the kind players can really only get away with when
Dang.
they're already doing quite well and have resources to spare. And even then, antler users tend to ditch the trait as soon as the window to complete the mating quest line closes for the year. Horns, on the other hand, can be used to great effect.
I ain't know they just fall off like that.
Closes for the year. Antler
I thought they
users
kept them
ditch
forever.
the trait as soon as the window to complete the mating quest line closes for the year. Horns, on the other hand, can be used to great effect against a wider variety of opponents. Large horns can deal devastating piercing damage and can also be used to inflict knockback, destabilizing even the most aggressive players and creating an opening for
He
a
got
deadly
sent
strike.
flying.
However, they're really only useful in 1v1 combat, since a group of attackers can easily overwhelm a horn user from multiple directions at once, and prevent them from connecting a strike. So it's important to balance your character with other traits like bulk or speed to help compensate for this weakness. Skull weapons were added to the game's equipment roster during the late Tetrapod expansion, possibly serving to facilitate party member recognition and later being co-opted for defensive purposes. While data miners are unsure whether early horn users like the Triceratops build had horn attacks as an integral part of their combat movesets, players in the current meta employ a wide variety of strategies to get the most out of their equipment. Tank builds like the Rhinoceros tend to use horns primarily for the knockback effect in 1v1 matchups, though they're capable of inflicting lethal piercing.
Dang.
More agile builds like the though they're capable of inflicting.
Was that just a baby?
Primarily for
No, that's a boar. Yeah, that's a boar. He sent that boy flying.
knockback effect in 1v1 matchups, though they're capable of inflicting lethal piercing damage as well. More agile builds
Dang.
like the Wildebeest and Cape Buffalo coordinate team defenses against predators that employ both horn and kick attacks, and have a high critical hit ratio due to the sharpness of their horns. Some animals with skull weapons favor other types of attacks, using their long legs as the primary line of defense against predators,
Over with.
and mostly use their skull mods to fight against others of the same build type. As powerful and impressive as horns are, their overall contribution to the viability of a character is less than you might expect, especially in terms of how vital they are to a player's game plan for dealing with predator attacks. Most Horn users spend a ton of evolution points on their base speed stat to avoid confrontation with more powerful players in the first place, meaning that heavy skull equipment actually impedes this strategy rather than synergizing with it. Horn attack.
It's so much that just happened. The reindeer, or moose, whatever that was, I think it was a reindeer, trips, get his antlers stuck in the ground, and then his homies that was running with him all just turned around like, yeah, we ain't going that way. Hold
on their base.
Why they leave old boy like that?
With more powerful players in the first place, meaning that heavy skull equipment actually impedes this strategy.
Look at them. They turned around. The two in the back turned around. You got to pay attention. You got to watch, man. They left their homie just out there.
Equipment actually impedes this strategy rather than synergizing with it. Horn attacks tend to be employed as a last resort with varying degrees of success, since their base accuracy is so low. Horns lose their value in combat if the player's head is immobilized. So to use this perk effectively, the build should have a high base stamina and access to a variety of other attacks that can counter a grappling opponent. Since most animals with horns and antlers defend themselves more effectively with their feet, there are plenty of examples of similar builds like zebras and camels that are equally viable without horns equipped at all. However, in builds like rhinos that spec into bulk instead of speed, horns are fundamental to their combat strategy, and viability suffers significantly if their horns are damaged. When equipping your character, it's important to consider
so they do got horns.
Character's stats and the types of attackers you're likely to encounter before you decide to spec into an expensive skull weapon. For example, if the primary threat in your server is a build from the Panthera faction, horns might not be the most optimal choice, since a big cat's primary objective is to land a critical strike on the opponent's neck, so you may be better off investing in more forceful kicks that can be used while keeping your head out of reach. But if the meta is more centralized around canine builds, front-facing weaponry may be the better option, since canines tend to target their prey's rear and get kills via bleed damage. The most viable horn users are well-rounded with respect to speed, bulk, and overall combat movesets, but most importantly, they spec their characters to be best equipped to counter the most.
Oh, that's a wildebeest, I think.
Meta. Now, since the best insight into the metagame can be found in books, gaining the knowledge necessary to be properly equipped can be tough, especially
if you gotta fix your eyes, girl.
Or concentration stats aren't the best. But the good news is, in an effort to make eyesight a less overpowered ability, the devs have started introducing more benefits to players that spec into auditory abilities, one of which is the advent of the audiobook. Audiobooks are an amazing way to optimize your efficiency, allowing you to gain XP in another skill while also increasing your knowledge stat passively. Where can you get access to these overpowered games?
Alright, shout out to TierZoo and his sponsor. We gonna go ahead and get past it though. Alright, yep, look like that's the end of the video. But yeah, man, let me know what y'all thought about the about this reaction in the comments below. And if you got any other videos that you want me to react to, put the name of the video in the comments and I'll look at them and I'll do that video. Yeah. Also, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 500 subs. Yeah, other than that, y'all, I'm out.